Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Akimbo & Co., a new independent theatre company founded by Jess Pantano and Bex Blake, have the end-of-year residency at KXT Bakehouse. It will be the last shows in the King's Cross Hotel space before they move to Broadway. Equal parts hilarious and arresting, Tongue-Tied by Claire Hennessy is a brand new Australian play about the lengths a journalist will go to in order to achieve justice. Ethics, justice and gender politics are all under fire in this play for a post-Me Too Sydney. The show plays until the 26th of November and tickets are going fast. Head to our website now to secure yours.
I've always felt that there's a bit of a cultural anomaly with the Beatles, where it's one of those situations where the first band, because essentially, I mean, I know Buddy Holly and the Crickets predate the Beatles and Eddie Cochran, and there's a lot of, great bands, but the Beatles were the first sort of band phenomenon where there wasn't John Lennon and the Beatles. It was the Beatles. They're all the sense of equality. There's 4 guys, everyone, you got your favorite, like a cast of characters in a great film or in a production. Or in a story. Oh, I really like so and so. I liked him.
Yeah, that's true.
And it also what that did, I think, is it took away a little bit of the elitism of performance. Before that, everyone, it was like, oh my God, have you heard Elvis? Oh my God, have you heard Frank Sinatra? It's almost like you had to be this incredible individual to be out there.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. My name's Justin, or you can call me Stin. As we head towards the end of our first season, I've unlocked the Theatre Thoughts Vault and brought out an episode that I've had stashed away for a while. Back in January, I sat down with Kram, the drummer and vocalist for Spiderbait, one of Australia's most successful and respected alternative rock bands, to discuss the creation of the Australian rock collective. ARC were due to perform a one-night show at the Night at the Barracks performances before being postponed due to COVID. Listen to Kram talk about his love for the music and entertainment industry as he reveals that live music and theatre may have more in common than you think. Don't forget, you can find all our episode information on our dedicated podcast site. Follow the link in this episode's description or follow us on our official podcast Instagram at ttpod_official. So prepare yourselves for a rockin' episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. So, Kram, welcome to the podcast. Very excited to have you here.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
You are playing in the Australian Rock Collective. Can you just kind of give us a little bit of background about who the Australian Rock Collective is and who's going to be appearing?
So, ARC is a side project of mine, and a bunch of other guys. It's myself, Darren Middleton from Powderfinger, Davey Lane from UMI, and Mark Wilson from Jet. So it's kind of basically a supergroup, Australian supergroup, really. But we started when Darren basically put the band together for years ago for the Brazilian World Cup, when he had to hurriedly get a band together to go and play in Brazil. And he called us all up and we're like, yeah, that'd be sick. So it was, for me personally, I'm a huge football fan and just had the best time. It was insane, really. I was lucky to make it back, really.
Oh, really?
It got pretty crazy in Brazil, man, but it was sick. But we had such a great time together. Spiderbait and Jet and UMI and Powderfinger have all played shows with each other so many times over the years, and we're very much, comrades. But it was interesting when we started playing together. It was a really good, really great band, like a classic sort of 2 guitar, bass and drums rock and roll band.
Right.
which I've never really played in before because Spiderbait's such a classic three-piece. It's lots of improvising and it's really punk rock sort of oriented. And this was more classic, and we just had a really good time. And then we sort of didn't play again for a long time, and then we just started playing again together, and we did a few shows here and there. And then basically Davey had the idea of doing a show of a live performance of an album, which was Abbey Road by the Beatles, and we're all huge Beatles fans. So we kind of put this show together between us, and we had some guests as well, Linda Bull and Ash Naylor and a few others. And the show was, we conjured the show, created it all together, and Live Nation got behind it, and we really wanted to do it. And our first show was at the Perth Concert Hall, and it was a sold-out show, and it was insane. It was just such an electrifying experience in a different way to, say, Spiderbait playing at Splendor or something like that. It was
right, yeah.
It was really, it was a real testament to our love of the music and the way that we could kind of, I guess, get to do something that the Beatles never got to do, and that's play Abbey Road as a live show.
Right.
And so the tour was a huge success, and we were, really blown away by that. And ever since then, we've sort of decided to do more of these productions. And this next one, which will be Let It Be, is the next one in a whole bunch of shows that we want to do, of productions. And one of the things I really enjoy about it, and I think this was, I guess, what a lot of people said about the Abbey Road show, is that usually these sort of these shows that pay tribute to a great record or a great artist or whatever, you have the band in one place and the singers come on and go off like that. And it's very much about the singers. The band is sort of in the background. We wanted to approach it like from a point of view of a bunch of guys who've had gold records and won arias and had number ones, and we're part of the history of rock and roll ourselves. And even more importantly, from the perspective of playing the songs and singing them together. So you're actually playing the songs, you're actually involved in the music as much as you are in the singing. Originally, we were supposed to be doing Abbey Road, Let It Be this year. Obviously, COVID intervened. We were about to start our show at the Perth Concert Hall. Once again, it was a sold-out show. Yeah. I don't mean to bang on about Perth Concert Hall, but it's one of my favourite venues in the country. It's really classic. And I literally were about to leave. I was going to have a party the night before at my hotel. A friend of mine called up, said, "You're just about to go into lockdown. You've got to get out of Victoria or you'll be staying at my place or at this hotel." I just had my suit dry cleaned for the tour, which was starting the next night.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I rang my agent. I said, "You got to get me a car. I got to get the hell out of Victoria or get me on a flight." She's like, "There's no flights. Everything's booked out." And so I managed to get a hire car. I had to leave the hotel and just say, "Look, I got to go. I'll fix up, fix up the bill with my agent. It's all cool." And I literally drove straight up to my parents' place on the border and then sort of stayed there for a week. I made it with like 1 hour to spare.
Oh my God, so close.
I know, it was insane, but I had a really good time. There was something about it that was really cool. And we just finished rehearsing the show. So literally it was almost like you prepared everything, it's ready to go. The entire show is ready. And then, it's done, you're out. So, it kind of was a bummer, but now in a way it's, in some sort of ways it's even better because now the film is out and it's such an incredible experience watching this film. I mean, and for us as massive Beatles fans, and I know like I've been having Spiderbait's doing some new material coming up soon as well. We've been having lots of meetings, and Wit's just loving the movie so much, and so many different people I know from the music scene are just loving it, and I'm sure that's happening all over the world. And so now we get to do the tour, which will be next May, after the people have really kind of got reinvested in this record and the magic of this band and all that stuff. And even better, as you can tell, I'm a long speaker, but I do make my point in the end. So thank you, Justin, for being so patient. Is that we get to do this Barracks show before that. And it's kind of cool because it's almost like having this show because it's a unique kind of show, almost like as a precursor to the tour, but also something really great because I do think that the show and the venue and the whole production sounds like a fantastic thing. And after what everyone's been through of not being able to do anything, I'm really looking forward to doing everything again. So
literally just go for everything.
Yeah, and it's just there's so much in this record in particular, and we've all had our own stories. Like, Davey and I are lucky to have bands that are still together and are still really big. After, you and mine, Spiderbait, both been together for probably over 30 years. Mark's, for a time was in the biggest band in the world. Jet sort of came out of nowhere and was huge, and so he understands that, and then broke up, and he understands that story. And Powderfinger sort of is such a huge success and such a massive part of the history of Australian culture as a band. And it's interesting that Darren sort of has had that story. So we all have our own kind of imprint and story to tell from within the collective spirit. And it is very much a collective band. We're great friends. We really care for each other. And you can really tell that in the performance, I think.
A twisting two-hander, a wild psychological thriller. Morgan Lloyd Malcolm's The Wasp will leave you guessing until the end and stars Jessica Bell and Cara Whitehouse. Presented by new independent theatre company Akimbo & Co., this show will be seeing the King's Cross Theatre out, so it's your last chance to soak up the theatre space that has given so much to Sydney. The Wasp plays from the 2nd to the 17th of December. Book your tickets via our website or head to the KXT site now. Why do you think Let It Be and Abbey Road have become such definitive albums? So why this one for?
First and foremost, I just love playing Let It Be. It was like Abbey Road was a really difficult piece of work, particularly part 2. Like, for instance, doing Because Live is really difficult. It's like I sang with Linda Bull with that show, and we both were really high singers, and to get everything perfect was difficult, and there's so many changes. But Let It Be is a lot more of a raw, stripped back rock and roll record, so you can just really relax. But it also becomes more revealing. You can't hide behind all of the machinations of the production and of the, it's a lot easier to lose yourself in a Wagner symphony than it is in a solo Bach minuet. Just everyone is focused just on that quietness, and there's a power in that. And I've really found doing some of the songs really revealing, so it's also a space where, like, we've also played a lot of our favorite Australian stuff over the years, and I think eventually we'll probably do an Australian music show as well, like just all the stuff we grew up with, and everything from like AC/DC, the Go-Betweens or whatever, just things that we love. And it's interesting how music gets you into music, and then your music, you become a musician, you create music, and that gets other people in, and it just keeps going on and on.
Yeah, it's an endless cycle, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and really the Beatles really started it all as far as bands.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details. With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And on bands, I have to say, Black Betty is probably, and I know you probably hear this all the time, Black Betty is probably like one of my favorite songs. I remember it was like when I was in my childhood, Black Betty, I was just played on repeat. I remember I had it like downloaded on my little MP3, and whenever I was driving, I was like slam on Black Betty, and I just felt so cool. But yeah, you go into that cycle of music and you create things, and then like the people who are creating music now obviously were inspired by you, and it continues.
Well, it's also, and thanks for saying that, man. I appreciate that a lot. And a lot of people feel that way about that song. And from my part, our band, we love raw power. We just really love the energy of a massive festival show, or just literally conjuring up thunder and lightning and driving a hot rod into the sun. That's the Spiderbait show, really. Well, that's my impression of it. And I do always use the word euphoric describing us. Like, I'm playing this huge drum kit. I get on such a high. There's thousands of people. It's off chops. And so we've been writing a new record lately.
That's exciting.
And this is our first record in a long time. And it all sounds like that. It's fucking insane, man.
Awesome.
It's just all like, and it's like I'm just fully, it's just like you've just pulled the hot rod out of the garage and you just haven't stopped driving it since. And so it's kind of nice in a way that I think that music for me has kept me young and kept me just vibing on life. There's something about it, and I'm sure it's the same for you being a fan of it. So, and it's probably not just our band. I'm sure there's lots of other bands, but a band is just a bunch of people playing music. Really, it's a pretty simple thing. And as far as all the art forms of the world go, it's incredibly powerful and so accessible. Like anyone can pick up a guitar, anyone has a story to tell, anyone can press down a distortion pedal, and anyone can fuck shit up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just really love that. And in reference to the Beatles, I've always felt that there's a bit of a cultural anomaly with the Beatles, where it's one of those situations where the first band, because essentially, I mean, I know Buddy Holly and the Crickets predate the Beatles and Eddie Cochran, there's a lot of, you know, great bands, but the Beatles were the first sort of band phenomenon where there wasn't John Lennon and the Beatles. It was the Beatles. They're all the sense of equality. There's four guys. Everyone, you got your favorite, like a cast of characters in a great film or in a production or in a story. Oh, I really like so-and-so. I liked him, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And it also, what that did, I think, is it took away a little bit of the elitism of performance. Before that, everyone, it was like, oh my God, have you heard Elvis? Oh my God, have you heard Frank Sinatra? It's almost like you had to be this incredible individual to be out there. You know, like if you were Ray Charles or if you were, you know, Louis Armstrong or someone. What a band did is that, no, you don't have to be that. You can just be together.
Yeah.
And by being together, you can be bigger than any of them. That's the great phenomenon of the Beatles. And that's what all of us as band members, and, you know, I've done lots of solo work too. If you're in a band, there's a real unique power of the collective in that. And I really think the Beatles started that. And they were the best, really the best band of all time.
Now, I have to ask, and just because like our podcast does focus on a lot of different theatre in all its aspects, do you ever secretly find yourself going to see a theatre show, like a play or a musical or anything like that? Do you ever venture into that area of theatre? I've
got a lot of friends who are actors, so I love the theatre.
Yeah,
I think it's magic. And and like in regards to like getting back to with ARC and with doing these types of shows, I mean, the Abbey Road show we played at the Palais Theatre was just fantastic. And I just I love theatre shows because if you really want to, it's a lot easier to rock out people sitting down than it is to get people standing up to shut up. Yeah, you know?
That's so true.
Like, and so what you do is like you can rip fucking shit out of a theatre show. And especially when it's, you know, someone like me where people are kind of expecting you to do that sometimes. But then you can also, I really revel in a lot of the quiet moments where you're just playing the song and it's the expectation of having this, you know, thousands of people mosh pitting and going crazy is gone. Everyone's just in their seat enjoying the show, and you've got this magical place, which a place like the Palais is, or the Enmore in Sydney, and the Barracks will be the same. It's just there's something about that cathedral of art that really inspires you.
Yeah.
And I really like how it splits, I guess, what I do creatively into two realms. So I love playing big rock festivals and fucking shit up, but I really like, you know, dressing up and walking out on stage to a quiet theatre, and there's something really irreverent about it.
Yeah.
And the great thing, because the music is just as important in both places, and it has just as a big effect on you in both performances. It's been a revelation to me, really, and that's really come through this band and through these productions. Like, just thinking about all the great music that we love from the past and just how successful Abbey Road was. Like, we really couldn't believe it. There's just so much there that I just love to do, and it's just a really beautiful space. And the great thing about ARC is the core members are who we are, but we can also get guests in and create different shows ourselves. So we are the producers and I guess the engineers and the architects and the performers of the whole thing, but we're also the fans, and that's the most important thing.
Awesome work. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Cheers, man.
Thank you to AB Publicity for helping to organise the podcast. A massive thank you to Kram for joining us as our guest for the episode. To find out more about the Australian Rock Collective, head to the link in this episode's description or follow us on our socials on Instagram at ttpod_official. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Help us support our podcast team and our Theatre Thoughts reviewers by joining our Patreon for as little as $3 a month, Or buy us a coffee by donating $5 and help to fund new independent Theatre Thoughts. Follow the link tree in this episode's description for more information. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast. Running a small business? Are you promoting a new show or running a theatre space? Maybe you're looking for an area to reach potential new clients. Why not advertise with us on the Theatre Thoughts podcast? We have a range of packages and prices for you to put your ad right here on the podcast. For more information, contact us at theatrethoughtsteam@outlook.com or by heading to our website, theatrethoughtsaus.online.
Have you ever wondered how your favorite performer actually feels? Well, here's your chance. Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud with me, Bobby Steggert, Broadway actor and now a therapist to a whole host of Broadway creatives. Part interview, part therapy, this is not your typical podcast. We'll go right to the heart of things with some of your favorite artists, what they still struggle with, what lessons they've learned, what they haven't figured out yet. There's enormous power in saying the quiet part out loud. Are you listening?
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.